Hello, everyone. Spot of Nerd here. Sincere apologies. It actually has been a few days since I have put something new out, especially with this newer style that I'm doing, of course, with the podcasts. I might be kind of rambling off of some topics, but I wanted to get something new out because I want to. And you can just tell by the deer in the headlights. I don't know where to start, other than I think that's why I've been away. So I've had a little bit of an illness. Believe it or not, it's not the vid. It's just your standard flu, if you remember that. I know we're starting to remember it again because apparently it just disappeared over the last 2 years. Just poof goes the weasel. Um, yeah, so I think it was just a cold or a flu or something like that. But getting better. And I think it's just the typical stuff going around in the good old winter time. So be safe out there. Obviously be careful. You never know what's around the corner, but take care of yourself, the usual stuff. I do care, believe it or not, as negative as I am, or however you want to see it. I consider myself a realist. I do care about people and I do wish you well. And if you are sick, I hope you don't get too sick and I hope you take care of yourself. Flippity floppity boop. So, yeah. Um, it is quite interesting on the topic of health. Again, bringing more politics into this channel, bringing more real talk, real conversation. When I normally get sick, and I'm talking like a cold, a flu, or whatever it is, I normally just kind of go with it. I usually go to work, I just do my thing, blah blah blah. But this one recently has kind of knocked me out just for a day or two. And the reason I'm mentioning that specifically is because it's been about 3 years since I've actually had something like this. Now, if you know me, you know I have a lot of illnesses, believe it or not, behind closed doors. I have several autoimmune diseases. I suffer through chronic pain, and of course, the mental health. You would think that I would actually get sick a lot more. Gracefully, thankfully, I don't. So, when I hear about people getting sick and COVID after certain, I don't know, metaphorical pokes, I hope it kind of does get a little bit of a spark into your brain, into everybody's brain. I really do hope maybe you kind of take a step back and go, huh, I wonder if I should have done that. Or was this the best thing for me? Now, I want to make it very clear I have absolutely nothing against those that decide to take care of their health in one way or the other. And you can get my meaning behind that with current situations related to COVID. I am not anti vaccine. I am not pro vaccine. I am pro you do you, I do me. I am a firm believer in the privacy of your own health, the privacy of your own business. But what I'm trying to get at is, again, using myself as the example, it's been 3 years since I've had an illness like this, and I'm on the mend. I'm obviously getting better each day. I'm back at work, no issues, but it's just, especially with this week, we've got good old midterms coming up. You know, I'm, gosh, sometimes it is hard to just, you want to say what you want to say, but then you remember that you also have a job and you need those medical benefits. But put simply, come this week, if you are going out and voting, I really, really hope you vote for those individuals that basically haven't told those that didn't necessarily get one of those treatments over the last 2 years. I hope you vote for those people that didn't kind of vouch for those people to be put in camps or kind of, just overall treated like human waste, all because of a decision they made to not get a certain treatment, shall we say. I want you to vote for those that support your freedom of choice, your privacy. You're not having to mandate certain things in order to live your life. They're, to put it bluntly, I'll tell you what, here's to save me beating around the bush. There is a comedian called Jim Brewer. You might actually know him if you're old enough. He was once on SNL. He was in Half Baked. You would know him if you look him up, Jim Brewer. And he did a comedy skit recently. It's on YouTube. You can actually watch it on YouTube. And I am shocked, beyond shocked to this day, that it is still up on YouTube because of what he says. But the first 10 minutes pretty much defines what most of us, and I say most of us in terms of most of us who have fought for what we believe over the last 2 years, including myself, kind of, it really, he kind of puts into perspective really what we've all been thinking and wishing sometimes we could say. Now, again, we don't wish ill will towards anybody or harm or anything like that, but go and watch this this special. And you know what I'm gonna do actually? Hold on one second. I'm gonna kind of pretend like I'm talking over this because I do want you to know what the title of this special is. I'm gonna type it in Jim Brewer. I'm going on YouTube right now. Jim Brewer special stand up special. What is it called? Oh, okay, yeah, here it is. Perfect. Okay, perfect. It is actually genuine. It's still up. It's Jim Brewer. Somebody had to say it. Now, I've seen it a few times because if you want to, I mean, if you are not laughing your ass off in that first 10 minutes, you really just don't have a sense of humor, plain and simple. But that will pretty much tell you a lot of what most of us wish we could say or think about in real life without being fired from our jobs or without being discriminated against or harassed or hated, blah, 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 which, you know, the sad truth is that has been the reality for us, for folks like myself over the last 2 years. It's been nothing but hate. It's been nothing but discrimination. And ultimately, it's ended up where I am today. And I personally think I'm in a far better place. Is it lonely? Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but it's almost, I would rather be alone than living in a fake world, living with people who are nothing but fake to me, to my face. So, you know, I will take the consequences of if I don't decide, if I decide not to get a certain procedure, I will face that consequence. I work with the general public. We are all infested with something, and I think we take that risk every day stepping outside your door. You could be hit by a car, you could be struck by lightning, you could literally, some sort of health issue could just pop you right to the ground, and that's it. So I'm going to continue to drink my Dr. Peppers every day because damn it, it is a delicious, delicious drink. So, yeah, anyway, I don't really know where I was going with that, but I hope you can kind of get my meaning on just respect each other no matter what they decide to do with their own health. Um, you can be supportive. If you see somebody maybe that might be a little bit more overweight that's at the gym, give them the encouragement. They're making that effort to try to change their life for the better. If you see, I'm just trying to think of some other example, but I think you kind of know where I'm getting at. We don't need to point fingers or put people in special camps because they decided to not take something that, quite frankly, they don't deem safe. And we, of course, are now getting much more data and much more information about it that, in my view, is quite scary. So I'll kind of leave it at that. But again, not anti, not pro, simply pro, you do you, I'll do me. How about that? Seems pretty straightforward, no? In other news, too, kind of leading into, as I was mentioning as well, we do have these midterms coming up this week. Now, as mentioned before, I am a British citizen. I am working on currently becoming an American citizen, getting the dual citizenship. I cannot vote. And, for the first time in my life, I genuinely mean this when I say this, for the first time in my life, I actually wish I could. And the reason for that is if you follow me on Instagram specifically, I recently purchased a new firearm and I am very pro Second Amendment. I am very pro gun, and I believe you have a right to own them to use in self-defense if needed. If somebody's breaking into your home and trying to kill you, things like that. But it's also, for me, it's turned into a hobby. For me, it's stress relief. I go to a range and, you take all the safety classes and you learn and you become proficient at it. I think that's a good word, right? Proficient. What I'm getting at is I recently discovered, and I'm an idiot for this. I really do admit I am a full-blown idiot. Washington State passed a law just this year that you can no longer have a magazine clip with more than 10 rounds. Now, again, it's one of those, if you ever I'm quiet for longer than 30 seconds or whatever, it's more just because I want to make sure I say it right. Taking away magazines that are higher than 10 rounds, there statistically has done absolutely nothing to stop crime, to stop violent crime, specifically with guns. And the reason, again, I wish I could vote and I wish I could make a little bit more of a difference now is because, I am now having to lock a few of my other firearms up permanently until I can find the appropriate magazines for these weapons. And it's tricky because, I don't want to take these out, for it is technically breaking the law, but the law states I can still have them, and as long as they're kept in your home and they're locked up and not used, you're okay. So, what I'm getting at is my vote could change this. It could repeal such things. It could help achieve the repealing of such a law to where we can bring back. If you look at the majority, and I encourage anybody, I will even teach you if you want. There's a plethora of information around firearms and weaponry that, you know, most come with magazines that are far more than 10 rounds. Now, of course, politics and politicians will say that's a bad thing. Well, you don't need it more, you don't need a weapon to have more than 10 rounds and da 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 da. Okay, well, what's stopping me from, if I have to have 10 round magazines, what's stopping me from just carrying 6 magazines with 60 bullets? versus 3 magazines with 20 bullets. It's to me, it's silly. It's no different other than changing a few numbers. Um, but the reason I'm kind of more passionate about it, stuff like this, is because again, it's hard to find this stuff now. Um, I should have been, I blame myself. I should have been more proactive and learning a little bit more on the legal side of things. But, you know, I enjoy this hobby. I really do. And right now that hobby is on hold until I can find the appropriate uh, magazines. Now, obviously, the good news is I have found some. They're currently on order, so I will be getting them in a few weeks. But um, it's things like that I wish I could change and help change, and hopefully one day I will be able to by becoming a dual citizen here in the U.S. It also gives me inspiration to get the fuck out of Washington because of such laws. I want to make sure again I'm very clear. I do respect those that are not necessarily in support of firearms or weapons of any sort. But at the same time, I would encourage you to do more research, to learn, to study, and if anything, I will gladly, 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 gladly. Uh, if you ever are in the area, you want to go for a lesson or even just to the range, gladly I would take you and I would instruct you on the safety aspects and why it's important to basically be able to have these weapons and these firearms, because let's be real. It was the second thing America wrote in your Constitution. The first was freedom of speech, the second thing was guns. And all they were is simply to protect you from a tyrannical government. The one that is basically draining your 401ks currently, the ones that are basically draining your bank accounts because of gas prices and food prices rising. Housing costs are in astronomical ways. It's just as examples, hypothetically, let's just say those things were happening. Um, it's just things to kind of think about. Now, obviously, you're not going to go use your firearm because of higher gas prices, but what I'm saying is, you look back even so much as, gosh, I'm just trying to think of history. I don't know. You can think of World War II. If you had the invasion of some army coming through your door, wouldn't you want to protect yourself? I sure as hell would. Otherwise you got to bow down to a government that wants nothing but control. And the more control they have, the less you have. And God, I could go down so many rabbit holes on that, but I will keep it at that. Bottom line is, I am very pro gun, very pro Second Amendment. I encourage you to learn more. I respect those that may not be, but at the same time, hopefully you can give me just as much respect because I am. So, yeah. Last but not least, let's talk a little bit on television. Other than Andor, Star Wars, a lot of my series have been pretty boring. I gave up. American Horror Story, season 11, trash, absolute trash. It's just, I don't even know what they're trying to do. It really is one of those seasons. American Horror Story is kind of a hit and miss type series. You either get a great season or you don't. This is definitely not a good season, so I recommend not watching. You know, Love is Blind, I'm still watching that garbage, but god damn it, it pulls me in every week to wonder if they're going to say yes or no, but you can pretty much tell most of them say no. And if the ones that do say yes, they're pretty much divorced within a year because that's just the way the world works. So, yeah. Um, what else was I watching? So much I've been watching. Oh, I rewatched. You know what? I rewatched Top Gun Maverick. That to the my God, if you have not seen Top Gun Maverick, you are missing out. Just such a great film. The soundtrack as well. You just listen to that soundtrack. just a masterpiece if you want just inspiration and positivity and everything in between. It's incredible. It really is. I highly encourage that. Barbarian 2 I watched recently. Dear fucking God, don't watch Barbarian if you use Airbnbs. You will never use an Airbnb ever again. Just FYI. Next week, oh wow, we're in November. Next week is Black Panther. I am hesitantly looking forward to that. Hopefully they will not crap all over that. And I actually gonna be looking forward to this weekend. I'll let you guys know what I think. Titans season 4 just started back up. So that was I think again, one of DC's best series so far they've ever made. It's the live action film in relation to the Titans, if you've ever watched the cartoon series or read the comics. So, incredible show. You should watch that too if you are looking for something that's really good from DC. And then, yeah, that's about it for now. So, again, hopefully, my rambling, you've enjoyed it. I appreciate everybody for listening, watching if you are on YouTube. I've had great success. My most recent episode with the All Is Quiet on the Western Front, very high view count for me. For others, it's nothing, but for me, it's actually quite high. So I appreciate that. And, again, if you haven't seen that film, you need to watch that film. It will wake you up so much. And it is, as mentioned with the politics and the midterms, it will wake you up to why it is so important to metaphorically fight like hell, as Stephen Crowder would say, metaphorically fight like hell. Because, every day this government takes more and more freedom, and, eventually I can't even think about what could potentially happen in the future, unless we get our grasp back on it. We regain control as the people, and we the people. The first sentence, we the people decide how our lives are going to be ran and how we're going to live our own lives to the best that we possibly can. And hopefully you are living the best that you possibly can. I'm sure as hell not, but that's for another day. That's for another story. That's for another time. But not all bad. Not all bad. It's some good. We'll get there eventually. Maybe, sort of, kind of. But yeah, anyway, thank you all again so much for listening, watching. Share me, listen to me, subscribe me, like me, comment me, whatever you got to do to spread the word. I super duper appreciate it. If you love the content, again, tell me, let me know. Love to talk, communicate, chat, conversation. If you don't, it's cool. But if you got this far, you must have liked something, or maybe I've just set a rage in you. So, um, hopefully you get my meaning, specifically with what I've talked about today: sickness, firearms, etc. Again, I'm simply just me trying to enjoy whatever hobby or passions I have, but I also enjoy the freedom and the privacy of my own body. So, no disrespect to anybody in that regards, but hopefully you can kind of get that meaning. Anywho, love y'all. Thank you so much again. We will see you all next time. Later. Bye bye.